I'm totally delivering groceries right now.
Yeah, we all do things on the side still.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been, doing Viridia for a few years now. But yeah, we all have other passions that we still pursue, but partially that's because music is tough, you know?
Although Christian music is bigger than ever, it doesn't come without challenges. In an increasingly crowded field where time is short and budgets are shorter, there's pressure on many artists to make their message and their art stand out. Thousands of you voted for your favorite artists in the We Love Christian Music Awards, and now we'll share with you the stories and the heart behind the winners and nominees. From the emerging artists who are trying to make their mark to the indies who are going it alone, the passion and drive of these artists to emerge against the odds is one more reason why we love Christian music.
One of the best surprises from going independent has just been the fact that we can actually do it on our own.
Surprise!
It
You're
was
capable.
It was really scary stepping out.
Back in the day, people would assume, and maybe still a little bit today, would assume that once you get signed to a record label, you've made it or whatever. And anytime I were talking to a young band, I try to tell them that that's the furthest thing from the truth.
I think we are seeing more bands choose to go independent these days, and I think it's just kind of it's just indicative of what the industry is doing right now.
It's just a different world.
The music industry is so different than it has been before. And also at the same time, social media is at a place that it's never been before. I think people are just seeing, you know what, maybe we can kind of market ourselves a little more than we used to be able to.
Well, we loved being on a record label. I think we'd been a band for almost 10 years, over 10 years, when we got signed with the last record label that we were on. And so we thought we had a name, and then they just, kind of took our name even further. And so we're forever grateful to them, and we enjoyed being on the label. But now that we're independent, it's not that much different, and at the same time, it's everything about it's different.
Making the transition from being on a label to being independent, pros and cons definitely.
I think it's really tough to, as an independent artist, to have to compete with all the people who are performing at the highest level.
We're the record label, and we're the A&R team, and the publicity, and management. We're everything, and so it's a lot of work, and things can fall through the cracks because you get tired and you can't do everything.
We have to make our content as compelling as the thing that everybody else is consuming, and so we just have to up the bar.
But that's also what's really fun about it, because we get to be creative and think outside the box.
So the worst thing is actually the best thing.
Totally is.
We definitely had a lot more opportunity to directly connect with our fans. We did the whole fan funding thing.
So our last album was crowdfunded, and I was nervous as heck to do a crowdfunded album because
It was really scary stepping out and, hoping that our fans were going to come through. There was a lot of nail biting.
You put it out there, and maybe they don't like you as much as you think they do. And so it's a very scary thing. Maybe we're going to raise, $4.
You're glued to the computer, like constantly refreshing the page. Like, okay, did anybody else give in the last 30 minutes? Are we going to make this?
It's not a very constructive use of your time at all.
It's not. When that got done, it was like, okay, wow, we're going to do this. It's going to happen, and God's going to take us to the next step, and we're going to do another album.
We really enjoy kind of being our own boss.
To be able to say whatever we want to say it how we want to say it, write a song the way that we want to write it.
We can hand select a team around us who shares our vision. If we have some crazy idea, we can implement it next week. We don't have to wait till next year to get approved and get the financing and blah, 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 and we get to just run with it.
It used to be we had to have all these marketing dollars behind us. We had to have the big bank of the label to build us up and help us to be able to get our songs on the radio so anyone will hear them. Well, the internet's there now, and actually people go to the internet more than they go to the radio now. So things have changed so much.
Being able to get your music in front of someone else in the Philippines is a very easy thing to do that couldn't happen 20 years ago.
I think it's amazing being an independent artist right now, mostly because of social media, and we just have immediate access to the people who want to know about us and what we're doing.
Sometimes when you're on a label, there's just different circumstances, different barriers that kind of keep you from just that direct contact.
I know that a big part of our audience is made up of moms of young children, and so I asked them, hey, you guys, like as a mom, what is an area that you need encouragement? And so just to tap into that is kind of amazing.
And I think that's really why we're seeing more people go independent, because they have the opportunity to market themselves.
The secret's out, I guess.
Do you agree?
What she said.
And then there are the emerging artists who are creating a buzz in hopes that they can break out despite a sometimes brutal musical landscape.
I mean, as far as, being a new band, I'd hate to be a new band, because it's like, if you ain't got a pop hit straight out of the gate,
yeah, we're done.
Now it's cutthroat.
For a new artist to break through, man, number one, know that you're called to actually do it.
When we were just getting started, and I feel like sometimes that's unfair to say because I feel like we are continually evolving and always getting started, but I do remember the very beginning pretty clearly. And I remember the things that influenced me, the people I looked up to, and even the bands that I looked at and I was like, wow, like they've gotten to a certain point that I want to aspire to. But I feel like the longer that we're in it, the more I realize, and it's gonna sound cliche, but the more it's a journey. Like it's not about getting up on a certain peg. It's about the impact that you can make at each of those levels with the fans, the things that, those things do matter the most.
For me, I remember for years, even now, like I know that I don't typically pass up on opportunities. Like to me, opportunity is opportunity. Being in front of people, being with people, not having an entitled mentality.
We started very much as like a garage band. Like we were like we didn't know what we were doing. And so I always I want to keep that honesty and that authenticity of where we started at always in the center of our music. If I was speaking to a young artist and I wanted to encourage them, I would say the reason you're even at where you are so far is because you're being yourself, so keep going.
You have to believe in what you're doing, believe the Lord has gifted you and given you, the abilities and the giftings to actually operate in this area.
I think that for a lot of artists, they can see other people who are doing something and they want to go along with what they're doing, but it's not necessarily them staying true to themselves.
Because there's so many different people and so many different artists, and you want to try and copy them, but really everyone just wants to see you.
You got to be willing to work hard, count the cost, you got to be willing to sacrifice.
Well, the most important thing, in my opinion, is just to be real and to be yourself. It's kind of what just, makes an artist, is their own originality.
Not showing partiality to certain things that come up and just being willing and able to say, I'm available and yes, I'll do it.
I think what me and my fellow nominees have in common is really that we all share the same passion to make music that glorifies God and makes Him known, and through what we go through, our messages that we pour into what we do.
New Artist, Group of the Year.
Don't leave me alone. Bust down the door of my heart like it's a home. Don't need no keys. I'm on my knees begging you, please. I've gotta settle this thing once and for all. You got my heart, my soul. You can have it all. Don't need no keys. I'm on my knees begging you, please, Lord. Take me down to the river, down to the river, down to the river to pray. Yeah. Let's get washed in the water, and rise up in amazing grace. We're going down, down, down to the river. Ooh, yeah. We're going down, down, down to the river. From the day you saved my soul till the very moment when I come home, I'll sing, I'll dance, my heart will overflow. Yeah. to save my soul. So please don't leave me alone.
Trends come and go, and tastes can fluctuate. So what do you do when it seems like your genre has fallen out of favor with the masses?
I hear rock is dead all the time. It's not at our shows, so that's all that matters to me. We've been doing this for a long time. I've been listening to rock for a long time. These bands today that are nominated for Rock Album of the Year, and they're incredible, and obviously rock's not dead with them. They've all put out some amazing albums this year. Good friends with, some of them, with Seventh Day Slumber and Red, and got a chance to listen to Tree 63. So glad they're back at it, and it was great. It was such a great album. POD, their new album, it's like watching a movie. It was incredible. It was entertaining. I'd only planned on listening to like 2 or 3 songs of it, and ended up listening all the way through. It was that good. And XXI, I didn't know much about them, but I read a little bit about them today and their story, and was completely floored by their album. Honestly, can't wait to go and listen to it some more. They're all at the top of their game. Like right now, all these bands are better than they've ever been. Yeah, it's definitely not dead. It's a good time to be a rock band.
And as rock music has found its footing once again as artful outsiders, electronic dance music, which used to be out on the fringe, has crescendoed to a fever pitch.
Welcome to the studio life.
Well, electronic dance music is not new, but obviously in recent years it has become much more popular.
I fell in love with trance, not EDM. Fell in love with trance in 2002. Just dorm mate listening to music. I'm like, that sounds amazing. That was like way back in the days of ATB, DJ Tiesto, before he dropped the DJ part, and Cascada, and all these fun classics,
a lot of the roots go back to 60s, 70s, disco era.
Late 80s, 90s, most definitely. In Europe, it became very, very popular.
And it's just become popular, I would say, in America in, say, the last 5 to 7 years or so.
2008, when Red One produced Lady Gaga's hit album that nobody thought was going to go anywhere, and Just Dance hit the radio, and people were like, what is this? And all of a sudden, thanks to that, gave this open door for all of these dance music producers to, well, we could actually maybe make pop, and we could have a commercial side of this that's not just underground.
Sometimes we take an idea, make it bigger, and re-export it like it was our idea to begin with. And I really feel like that's what's happened.
That's when EDM was basically born, because we can't just call it techno.
Everybody called it techno. Now everybody calls it EDM.
We have to find some other term for it. Let's call it electronic dance music. And no, it is not a genre. Electronic dance music is a category with about 40 different genres and subgenres under it that a lot of them sound vastly different.
EDM is so versatile, and it can reach so many different people. If you like jazzy stuff, there's like Chicago house.
And no, they're not all dubstep. And no, Skrillex is not a genre.
I love that EDM is getting so big, and I love that it's developing.
And it's just bigger than ever. It's bigger than ever in Europe. It's bigger worldwide, and of course it's bigger in the United States of America. So
it's because of the internet. Music now spreads more virally than it ever has before. A lot of these very talented producers who are sitting at home on a laptop creating beats now can make beats, take them to a local club, play them, and have a fan base and make a living as a musician.
I think dance music connects with people on an emotional level, a spiritual level.
It brings incredible joy to people. The emotions and the sounds and different genres of dance music like trance or progressive music really connect with people on a deeper level and makes them think deeply. And I feel like it's much more experiential. It's not just something they're listening to, but they're experiencing. Live especially, they're dancing, their body is involved. And
that's cool. But I mean, it's not the typical culture that as a Christian, you're like, oh, when you dance, you like move your hips? Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, no, it's more like jumping up and down. I don't have good hips, so.
It's the current style, it's the current trend, it's what people are listening to. If they're able to take good music and point people to Jesus, that's the ultimate goal of what we do and why we do it.
There are so many great Christian producers who are making dance music all over the world. I can think of South Africa, Australia, of course America, Europe and the UK.
I think that Christian producers who are pursuing EDM are definitely doing it better than they ever have before. But we have a long way to go.
I think that Christians in the genre, I mean, the skill level and the quality of production has just skyrocketed.
There's more people doing it now, which forces everyone to up their game.
There's some really awesome guys that are still relatively unknown in the dance music world that are huge within the Christian sort of subcircle of dance music that, I mean, they blow away mainstream artists as far as their skill.
These people who actually produce quality dance music, they are composers. They are incredible beat makers. It's not just push a button and the computer does it for you. It really isn't.
And it's so quality that it's getting played by major DJs across the world.
We've seen the world's biggest DJs play some of the tracks made by Christians in very recent times. And you're also seeing Christian artists start to have a platform in the dance culture to share the gospel with the people there.
Every track that comes out, it seems like, oh, we got to do that better. We got to find a better kick. We got to find a better lead. We got to mix it better. We got to master it better. I wonder how this plays live. Like, we're actually thinking about our art now. And that's exciting.
Hey guys, David Thulin here, and I'm going to show you how I made my mini mix for this year's BPM Award nominees. Here's Mr. Roboto by Rapture Ruckus. And we're already queuing track 2 coming into the mix, which is Catch My Fall by Transformed DJs. The bass is going to come out, and here the bass is going to come in, and here you'll see a delay effect. Now I pitched this down half a key so that the transitions worked better into these songs because the keys were clashing. So you'll see the bass come out, and you'll see the next track come in here. Track 2 is getting cued here. Bass is still out, but it's coming up. Bass is going to come out on the Capital Kings track. Now we got Discovery by Levi Whalen. Going into our final track by Firefly. Get a stutter effect here to make the transition feel more dynamic. Finally bringing the bass out and the effects back up to end the mini mix.
It's not just a crowded field in music where artists and genres are looking to stand out, but even in the church music world, more churches than ever are making their own music and trying to share what they've created with as many people and Sunday morning services as possible.
We're seeing more churches releasing more live records than ever before, and I think that's just such a beautiful thing, that churches are realizing that this is something that just brings life.
I'm actually very optimistic that I see Christian music navigating more towards music for the corporate church, because I think that the songs that point to our Savior should be the most important songs. 15 years ago, songs that, when you'd say how he loves us, a lot of times people would be like, well, we can't sing about us. And it was kind of like this kind of like faux pas thing to do. But this generation really needs to hear how much God loves us and how much he's inviting us into his love and grace. People are getting away with a lot more in regards to singing about how we need God to come and heal us. So whether or not it's songs, content-wise that lyrically are about God or to God, or songs sung from God to us, I think the whole revelation of an understanding that we've always been called to sing songs with God is really breathing a new life into the new generation.
The Chorus Award, Church-Based Worship Album of the Year.
God, you pursue me with power and glory, unstoppable love that never ends. You're unrelenting with passion and mercy, unstoppable love that never ends. Grace, amazing grace, unfailing grace that saves my soul. Grace, unending grace, unrelenting grace that won't let go. The Lamb of be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips. Even so, come, Lord Jesus, come. Even so, come, Lord Jesus, come.
I remember the days when people would wait for a record to come out and they would listen to the record in its entirety, and there would be like great songs on the record, but there would be like 3 that were just kind of filler songs. But man, you waited for that record and you played it in a CD player and you played it in its entirety. And all that's changed since you have iTunes and now you can Spotify and you can download different songs. And so what's crazy is now you're seeing the rise of EPs. Now people aren't releasing full records anymore.
And it's true, EPs, or extended plays as they're known, were prevalent in 2015, with a number of projects spanning different genres and telling full stories in just a handful of songs.
I think the rise of the EP and a single is probably to do, I suppose, with the ability to be able to put more music out more frequently.
And a lot of it has to do with music buyers only kind of cherry picking their favorite songs from iTunes. So here an artist puts months, sometimes a couple of years into a body of work.
And I think a lot of work and money goes into putting together a whole album.
That only gets cherry picked, 4 or 5 songs. And so what a lot of artists are doing now is just saying, hey, listen, instead of putting all this time, effort, money into doing a full record, we'll just do an EP and release EPs as they go. And
yeah, it just gives you a way to be able to put more music out more regularly, and then putting one piece out every sort of 2 or 3 years, making one big statement, which I think is cool, and every artist loves to do that. But
it's $4.99 to buy the EP, so a music buyer will go, you know what? I'll spend the $4.99 for the EP as opposed to spending $9.99 for a full record that I may not like all the songs.
And in that way, it can be fresh. It's like, this is what we're working on right now in this piece of time, and you can do it and you can put it out, and it's a lot faster than often when you're doing an album. By the time the album comes out, it was 3 years ago that you wrote those songs, and you're not feeling it maybe so much anymore, or you completely might have changed your way of thinking.
EP of the year.
Calling out these pretty lies, pretty lies, pretty lies. I'm calling out these pretty lies, pretty lies, pretty lies. We were meant to be perfectly imperfect, such a beautiful mess. Calling out these pretty lies, pretty lies, pretty lies. I'm calling out these pretty lies, pretty lies, pretty lies. We were meant to be perfectly imperfect, such a beautiful mess. We were meant to be perfectly imperfect, such a beautiful mess. Pretty lies, pretty lies, pretty lies. I'm calling out these pretty lies, pretty lies, pretty lies. I'm calling out these lies.
We love Christian music because it's pushing the envelope creatively and stylistically, and because artists meet the challenges of the day and rise above. But ultimately, we love it for the same reasons we've always loved it. It meets people where they are and impacts them in their pursuit of a life with God. Next time, we'll look back on the artists and projects that resonated most with you, the fans, in 2015. On the next episode of Why We Love Christian Music, the awards special.